Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. If you are coming across this video, welcome. If you would like this video, subscribe, hit the notification button because I will have videos coming and I want you to know when they're coming. And also subscribe to this channel and share. So, without further ado, I just wanted to take you into my thought process in my mind. Okay, today is, well, it's May the 28th, 2025, and it's late. And sometimes I have these, during these hours, I have things that come to me. And if I'm compelled to share, I share it. Sometimes, as you probably know, when things come to you, it's not for you to share. So I'm trying to be very sensitive to that in my journey and my walk. Guys, what you need to understand about this life here is it's not the it of the whole grand scheme of things. It is a part. And when you think about life here on earth, when you put it in perspective, when you put it in a proper perspective, there's just certain things that you were holding on to that you will let go. And there's certain things that you will let go that you're holding on to. What really, really matters the most is the spirit. Okay? The spirit, and I'm not trying to get on anything religious or anything like that, whatever deity you serve, if you decide that what you serve, whom you serve, is inside of you or outside of you, then that's what it's going to be. One of the things that I loved about my studies of Malcolm X is, and I haven't studied extensively about Malcolm X compared to others, but the fascinating thing about Malcolm X is when you heard him speak, he dumbed it down. And I mean dumbed it down in a respectful manner. He spoke so as many people had an opportunity that heard him to understand him. But he had such a command on the English language. He had such a command. If you could really compare it to anything else, you ever seen Stephen A. Smith on ESPN? Stephen A. Smith has such a command on the English language, and he actually flexes it. So it comes across, and it's worked for him, but it comes across as if I've got to go and look at the dictionary and see what he said and what that word means. I've never heard that word used in a sentence. It could be a simple word, and he will opt to, instead of using a simple word, he'll opt to use an eclectic word, a word that's different, a rare word that's used in that situation. But if it fits, he'll use that. The the problem sometimes is, and it may be intentional, is those words and the vocabulary that he uses is for a particular demographic, a niche. And words can be intimidating, just like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And they do hurt you. Words are spells, and words are powerful. And sometimes you have to understand what fear, and I know you probably heard this acronym before, but fear is false evidence appearing real. So typically you are fearful of something that you do not know and understand. It could be an insect, it can be an animal, it can be many things. If you don't understand it, then you will definitely be prone to be in fear of it. Very rare somebody doesn't understand something and knows that it poses a threat, and all of a sudden, because it poses a threat, they become fearful. Well, Stephen A. Smith isn't trying to make you Stephen A. Smith isn't trying to put you in fear. He's talking about sports. But being that he is a black man, and he has and flexes his educational prowess, his extensive vocabulary, coming from a black man, it is fearful. That's why once upon a time it was a crime for black people to read or know how to read or write. These are things that they couldn't do. And when you go back and you discover, why was there such a focus on trying to prevent black people from doing normal and regular things that everybody else had the opportunity to do or have access to? It's because, and it's not to be braggadocious, but black people possess and can harness a power due to just the melanation of their being in cahoots with the universe and being able to even fractionally unlock what can be done. It's a fearful thing for the world. This is why black people are the most hated people on this earth, yet they're the most admired people on this earth. For instance, why go and get lip fillers? Why go and get injections in your butt? Why go and get these types of features? Because of all ethnicities, factually speaking, black people have these types of genetics. And there are women walking around today, their lips are so full, but they're natural. But then you have other ethnicities that go and get their lip fillers, and it just doesn't come out quite right. Because nothing can be ordination. But again, Malcolm X doesn't flex. He did not flex his muscle in trying to impress you. He was trying to be as effective as he could to as many as he could. Now, I have a belief about that because I do believe to the core, your assignment is your assignment, and who your assignment is going to impact is going to be based on who you are and what your assignment is. Everybody is not going to be filling you on your assignment. In fact, you can be in alignment and be at the apex of authenticity when it comes to yourself, your purpose, your schedule, and your timing, and somebody's going to have something negative to say about it. And you can't take offense to that because it's just not for them. So many times we open our gifts up to the world and we're concerned with how it's going to be received. Whereas that's a human trait. The spirit doesn't care about anything but precision and execution. Timing and scheduling, which is the same. That's all the spirit cares about. The spirit wants you to be led into all truth. The spirit wants you to get on the way. The spirit wants you to get on the path. And the spirit don't want you to delay whatsoever, because there is no other fulfillment in your life that you can possibly have that's going to beat being on schedule and on time with your purpose. I need you to get into your purpose because your purpose is going to have a direct effect to someone else. In fact, usually your purpose is going to involve others because we are walking ministries. And I know that word might scare people who are not religious, but ministry, I'm not even talking about religion. Ministry is to give to someone or someone's. So if you are walking in your authority and you are ministering to the people that you're supposed to minister to, you are going to live a purposeful life, especially if you're consistent with that. You're going to have the most fulfillment possible. Now, if living on this earth, wouldn't you want to get it right the first time? Or do you want to be made to have to do it again? That rabbit hole is deep, and I'm not going into it right now. But what I'm saying is, If you have a test, do you want to pass it the first time or do you want to keep taking it? And there's quizzes, okay? There's midterms of life, and there are final exams. And you want to be able to perform on those the way you're supposed to. So you really have to get locked in. I have a book out that really, really goes in deep in terms of the intricacies of the shadow work. It's called, excuse me, let me get a drink. I'm sorry. My book is called No Excuses, Overcoming Obstacles and Making It Happen. Right now, it's only on Amazon. You can get the ebook or you can get the paperback. It's up to you. But a lot of times people talk about, especially looking in the mirror at yourself. But I think a lot of people don't know how to look in the mirror at themselves because they don't have the core keys that they need to look at themselves. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the only one that has the answer, but I figured this part out. And when you do figure this part out, you will not want to waste any time doing anything else. You might have other ideas of doing this, doing that. You might have talent at doing this. You might have talent at doing that. And a lot of times, those talents are offshoots of the purest talent that you have at the core of what you're supposed to be doing. I'll give you an example. For me, all right, I was good at football. I'm good at basketball. I was good at track. I was good at singing. And I was good at drawing. I was good at talking to people. Okay, but that doesn't mean that I'm supposed to be doing all of those things. Once I got to know myself, I knew exactly what I was sent here to do. And I don't want to have to repeat the course. Being on this earth has its pleasures. Being on this earth is a privilege. It's very much so a privilege to be here on this earth. But when you start thinking about how ill this earth is, you really only want to be on it one time. I'm not saying that anyone should rush to get off this earth. I think you should be here as long as you are supposed to be here. Not a minute less, but not a minute more. I was asked once, how long do you want to live? And that's a tricky question because I want to be here as long as I am designed to be here. I do want to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor here, but I want you to just flip the perspective for a second and let's just say that a curse was put on everyone on this earth, including you and I. Let's just say, this is a hypothetical, and let's just say death could not happen anymore. I want to ask you this question. With the ways of the world, would you want to be stuck here and would you want to be stuck in this dimension for life, for forever? And I think the answer would be no. Just imagine somebody getting so sick and tired of being here on this earth that they try to commit suicide and they keep on failing at it miserably. Kind of like that movie Novocaine. They can't feel pain and they can't feel death. Life is about achieving balance. So if it's about achieving balance, you have to have a zest to live, but you can't be so hung up on locking in to this earth and the things of this earth so much that you can't let go. It's about a balance. So on one end of the spectrum, let's just say this bottle of water, I either want it or I don't want it. Life is like you have to have a balance of I'd like this water and I'd appreciate this water, but if I don't have this water, it's not for me to have and I'm not going to trip on it. I'm thirsty to drink water and I'm going to drink water, but I'm not going to be so thirsty that I'm going to over drink and drown myself, because that's happened before to people dying off of over drinking water. But not having the attitude like, I don't want water and I don't need water. And this is just an example. Life is about achieving that balance. When you love someone, you're supposed to love them, but you also aren't supposed to love them so much that you become a fool and you become distracted from your divine purpose. The only thing that you need to overclutch is your purpose, nothing else. Not even a man or a woman. That man or woman that's in your life or that you would like and desire to be in your life, sure, you're going to appreciate them, you're going to love them, you're going to respect them, you're going to give your best to them if you have a pure heart. But you can't be so hung up on that person that it distracts you from your focus of your vision of what you're supposed to do while you're here on this earth, because everybody's time isn't like everybody's time. Some people are supposed to die at this age and some people are supposed to die at that age. That is not for you to determine. What you should be concerned about is the time that you have here, the quality of life and not the quantity of years. Because there are people who are living a long life and they have a poor quality of life. And then there are people who live a great quality of life but don't have a lot of quantity. But the encouraging thing to know for each and every one of us is what they told us was real isn't real. Now, I can't and I won't go into what's real and what's not. You got to work out your own walk. You have to work out your own salvation. And I wouldn't trust no one with my own walk, and I would trust no one with my own salvation. The lazy thing to do is to believe. The work, the hard work is to find the truth. See, I want you to think of belief as you're trying to connect the dots and some of the dots are missing. So you can't quite make out the full picture, but you use belief to trust that the missing dots in the picture, you somehow have connected the whole puzzle. That's belief. Where everything doesn't make sense, but it's okay because the person that told you, you like that person. Or the person that told you, you hold that person in a high regard. You trust that person. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to trust someone with the final decision of my life. If I'm going to be right or wrong about something, like the final decision of my life, it's going to be me. It's got to be me. Because I'm telling you right now, if I trust someone else's decision for the guidance of my life and it doesn't work out, is that person going to take full accountability? And if they do take full accountability for leading me astray, what does it profit me? I'm still going to face the consequences that I didn't ask for. The only consequences that I want to face are the consequences of the choices of my life that I made. I can live with that. I can die with that. But I can't be on the guillotine of life because somebody told me this is what I'm supposed to do, and I was too lazy to do my own investigation, to do my own shadow work, to do my own walk in salvation, of figuring out what is salvation and what it's supposed to be for me, because I depended on my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, my nieces, my nephews, or whomever it is that had that type of influential information given to me from them. I'm not going to do that. And you're not going to do that either. We're going to stop that. What do you need to do? You need to take everything and put it through the fire. Everything. See, here's the thing about a blacksmith. When a blacksmith is using those hot temperatures to melt metal, the real true purpose is to get that metal and the impurities thereof out of it. And then cool that thing back down into the shape that it's supposed to be so that it can be purified. and it can maximize its usage and duration. Well, that's you. You have to take yourself and do the shadow work. What is the shadow work? The shadow work is, see, think about it. The things that you hide about yourself that nobody knows, you put it in a shadow place because it's hard to see. But can you do the shadow work in terms of every single thing about yourself? And it's not really hard for you to find because you really know the the things that you're most ashamed of, the things you are that are most sacred, the things that you try to hide from everybody. You know about those things because they're constantly on your mind, and you're constantly trying to make sure it's in a hidden place so nobody discovers it about you. But what's in the dark's going to come to light. So you've got a choice. You can either wait, you can think you're invincible and continue to hide things and not do the shadow work and not do the internal work of yourself and dig deep and bring forth those things yourself. Or at some point in time, it's going to come to light involuntarily by possibly some other outside source. Yeah, that person that you confided in about that dark place, just to give you some temporary relief, like you really did some work on yourself, that person can get mad at you and bring it all to the forefront. A narcissistic person can do that about you. It can be the closest person to you. It can be a family member that brings something so dark and so heinous about your past to the light. And then how are you going to feel when everybody's judging you? You're not going to feel really cool about it. Even though you shouldn't care about it, you're going to feel some type of way about it because you weren't ready. So you have to make yourself ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So if you can go deep inside of yourself and deal with the issues of your heart, mind, body, and spirit, be honest and truthful. Don't be honest. Honesty is, you got me, I'll tell you the truth. Truthful is, before it can even come out, I'm going to do it. So I want to liken that to, let's look at my neck. Neck is kind of short to a lot of people. And it used to be worse when it used to be bigger, right? It just looked like I had some steps. See, look, if I put it back and you see my traps a little bit, I'm a lot smaller than I used to be. But you can see my neck used to come out like that. So it literally looked like I didn't have a neck. So the difference, what I'm saying about what's in the darkness comes to light, either by you or by some other entity, is if I was in denial that I didn't have a neck and people started making fun of me when hey, look at no neck, and I'm in denial of it, it makes it more funny. And and it makes me vulnerable to be targeted about my neck all the time. But have you ever seen somebody, same situation, that has no neck, that owns up before anybody says anything about it? Because people will notice something about you but won't say it right away. But it'll be somebody bold enough to say it. But if you come out here and you just like, hey, look, I don't have a neck, isn't that funny? Da, 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 da. Number one, it's not going to hit funny like it would if somebody pointed it out. Because if you own it, it takes the sting out. And when you do real shadow work about yourself, there are going to be people that judge you for the shadow work and the revelation of what you did. And I'm not saying you have to bring it forth to the public. And more about that in a second. But what I am saying is you need to own it so nobody else owns it. It's your real estate. But if you don't claim your real estate, the bank's going to come and take it. Now, how does it feel to not pay your taxes on your land and lose the house that you paid cash for? Then you done went out there and you done paid cash for a house. You spent $1 million on your home And because you didn't pay your taxes, the bank's going to confiscate your land and the property that's on it. Does that make sense? So you got to get ahead of that. But when you own it, nobody can take it from you. Nobody can take it from you. Yes, you made mistakes in your past. And no, everything doesn't need to be revealed in public, but it's kind of like that's between you and the Most High in most cases. But you got to own it. And it's between you and the Most High if He wants you to reveal it on Times Square or not. My suggestion is whatever He tells you to do, do it. Because remember, this is about your walk. Thinking about things for the moment is not going to get you far in your life. You have to do everything that you can to fight thinking with your emotions. If something happens to you, see, it's cause and effect. So if something happens to you and it makes you feel a certain way, the best thing that you can do at minimum is to be still. You shouldn't make any decisions that your emotions are going to impact. So sometimes you have to stop and you have to gather yourself. Because at the end of the day is going to end. So how do you want the day to end? You want the day to end the best way possible with no regrets. Guys, there are going to be times in your life where people are going to leave out of your life because they're moving on. Some people are going to die out of your life, and you didn't want that. Those are going to cause extreme emotions for any of us. Just don't make a decision based on the emotions. But this is happening to you because it's part of your will, and you have to extract everything you can from that experience so you don't repeat the lesson, so that lesson doesn't repeat to you. It's kind of like when a person that you don't know passes away that had an impact, and you are at an event and the announcer says such and such has passed away. Let's have a moment of silence. Do you know what that moment of silence is truly? One of the things that is truly, truly for is truly, truly for you to step out of your shoes and step into a pair of shoes that's predominantly impacted by the passing of that person. See, there's a certain amount of laughters that you're going to have in this world. It's already numbered and counted. There's a certain amount of sadness, tears that you're going to cry, like down to the gallons. It's just only a certain amount of tears you're going to cry. And from a subsidiary, which in essence, from a subcategory of that, it might be tears of joy. It might be tears on life loss. It might be tears on material loss. It might be tears on ideas. It could be anything, but it's a certain amount of tears you're supposed to shed while you're here on this earth. It's a certain amount of laughters, even down to the syllables of how many giggles you have in this world. Everything is already numbered. Everything is already checked out. Everything is already predetermined. Like assimilation. And because it's predetermined, because it's assimilation, when the game is over, the game is over. But did you score? Did you get a high score? That's important for you to get a high score, because you get points when you do purpose. You ever seen somebody on a basketball court, a player in the NBA, whatever name you can think of, they score a lot of points, but their team doesn't win? Then you have somebody who doesn't score a lot of points, but their team wins a lot of games. And then the best of the best find a happy medium way of scoring a lot of points, but their team win a lot of games. and win championships. The most successful basketball player from a championship perspective is Bill Russell. But Bill Russell didn't score a lot of points. The most successful point tallying player in NBA history with a combination of scoring is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And right up there is Michael Jordan. Why is that? Why is that? Because they found a healthy balance. Michael Jordan used to score a lot of points, but Michael Jordan didn't start winning championships until Phil Jackson came to the Chicago Bulls and showed him how to win. Yeah, what Michael won in college, yeah, Michael had Sam Perkins, Michael had James Worthy, Michael had Kenny Smith, and others. He didn't have to know how to win because there were other people on the team that knew how to win. So he could be free to be who they wanted him to be. But when he got to the NBA, nobody knew how to win on his team or the staff of the Chicago Bulls. His talent shined, but they didn't win. Phil Jackson got there and he told Michael Jordan, pump the brakes in this area right here a little bit. And Michael was worried about scoring titles. Go look it up. But Phil assured him, Michael, if you do these things, we will win. And he bought in. He bought in. The star of the team has to buy into the plan of the coach. And who's the greatest coach of all? The Most High. The Most High has a foolproof plan for your life. But if you don't follow it, you're not going to achieve the success. I'm not saying you're not going to be successful in some capacities, but do you want to be a little bit successful, or do you want to be as successful as possible? The only way to be as successful as possible is for you to do the will for your life. Let's use Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille has 4 championships, but arguably, and not really an argument for me, Shaquille O'Neal is the #1 most dominant player in NBA history. He won 4 championships. Could he have won more? Of course he could. What could he have done to win more? Well, Kobe used to be a thorn in his side about his work ethic. Shaq was clearly so much dominant than everybody else. He took things lighter than he should have. And if he put his mind to it, Shaq could have won virtually every season that he was in the NBA, and we would be talking about him differently, even though it's a feat to be talked about as the most dominant player to ever step on the basketball court. We could have been talking about him being the greatest of all time if the championships aligned with it, and that would have taken him maxing out even his elite ability. So Shaq is a lesson in, I am more talented than everybody else, but if I work my talents like I didn't have any talents, imagine what I could get. I don't know how many years that Shaq played in the league. It was over 10 years. Shaq could have 10 championships. Shaq could have 13, 14 championships if he put his mind to it. When Shaq wanted to play defense, boy, it was nothing the offense could do in terms of coming in that paint. But Shaq didn't care about that. Shaq had his game down to a science. Ask him. I'm going to run down court. I'm going to duck in underneath the basket. They're going to throw me the ball, and I'm going to get me a slam. And if I do that X amount of times, I'm going to get X amount of points a quarter. That's going to allow me to have 28 points. And just being around the rim and having my sheer size, I'm going to pick up about 15 boards. Shaq was like, hey, look, this is what I got to do to average 30 and 15. That's what I'm going to do. Whereas, and I didn't see him play, well, Wilt Chamberlain set records in rebounds, records in points. And Wilt Chamberlain was all over the place with different sports, and of course women, according to him, allegedly. 20 some thousand. So guys, we have to make sure we have to consolidate all of this activity in our lives to one thing. It's like you got 15 credit cards that's almost maxed out. You in the game of life, you have to find a credit card that can cover all of the balances of all the other credit cards and consolidate it to one place and hopefully get it interest free for 12 months, 18 months, or what have you, and have a solid game plan to be able to pay that debt off. And best of all, make your plans come to fruition. Now, if you can consolidate the bull crap in your life and hone it into one thing, you can lock in. You can laser focus on what you're supposed to do. But until you get that stuff, all of that other clutter under control, you can never lock in. You can never focus. I heard this once upon a time. You can't see your reflection in boiling water. But when that water comes to a stop in terms of boiling, you can see your reflection. You have to turn down the heat of your life and be still so things can calm down, so you can see the total mess that your life is and begin the plan of consolidating the mess and clutter into a narrow focus that is in alignment with your purpose, and then get to it. Not, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week. You know what? New Year's is coming, I'll do it then. No. Your New Year's is right this day. Your New Year's is right this day. I'm doubling down on that. You have to know and understand who you are to the core before you have a taste of being able to obtain your vision. And the Most High is waiting for you to ask the right questions, because the Most High wants to give you the answers. The Most High is rooting for you because the Most High is responsible for you. The Most High is connected to you. The Most High has given you a spirit to lead you into truth because the Most High cares about you. The Most High has blessed many of you with wisdom or access to wisdom because the Most High is cheering you on. The Most High wants to see you win. The reason the Most High doesn't give up on you and I when we do the stupid things, the stupidest things in life, is because he remembers the promise that he made when he gave you this opportunity to be here on this earth. Now, creation versus existence, I'm not going to really jump into that either, okay? The only thing that I'll say about that is your body may have been created, but that energy that's inside of your body that makes you alive, that always existed. And anything that was created has an end because it has a beginning. But anything that doesn't have a beginning doesn't have an end. Existence doesn't have an end. And they made us believe that something that had a beginning could have eternity. But that's impossible. The only thing that can have eternity is something that sits outside of time. Because anything that sits inside of time will have its run out. So, it's very, very important for you to get this understanding. It's very, very important for you to go through the steps of knowing what you're supposed to do on this earth. But the only way you're going to do that is you're going to have to go step by step and do the shadow work. Now, if you don't know what that is, get my book. My book will tell you what that is. But that's not the only thing that'll tell you what it is. But if you don't know where to go, I'm going to tell you what it is. And you're going to have to do some real hard looking inside of yourself, because in spite of what you've been told, the answer is to be found inside of you. It's nowhere else. The answer is inside of you. All of the problems, all of the solutions inside of you. And you're afraid to look there because the enemy's got you thinking, don't look there. You don't want to see that. You don't want to deal with that. No, come on. You got to deal with it. And understand this too. The path that you choose to go down, there are possibilities and there are probabilities. Weigh them, know what they are, and be at complete peace. Because everything that's possible isn't going to happen, but it could happen, good or bad. Everything that's probable ain't going to always happen, but it could happen. And you need to know the difference between possibilities and probabilities. An emotional mindset is more concerned about what's possible. They will take the best of what's possible and they will cater their whole thing around that. That is a dangerous game to play. You do not bet the farm on possibles. If you want to play possibles, that's high risk, high reward. You need to invest only what you're willing to lose. Some of you go to the casino and you take your whole check and you say, I'm going to win me some money. When you know you got to pay your bills. But your hope is the best possible scenario that you hit jackpot on one of the slots. And that's possible, but it's not probable. What is probable? You'll lose money. In that sense. What's possible? You could hit jackpot. But what are the odds? Possible is never the majority. Probable is the majority. It's like marriage. They say, statistically, every heterosexual married couple has a 52% chance of divorce. So those numbers, because it's over 50%, cannot be considered possible anymore. It has to be considered probable. Probable is the majority. Possible is the minority. I've heard it all with lottery. Hey, you'll never win if you don't play. Okay, you can play the lottery. But let's be real. Why would you bet the farm on the lottery? Lottery is only possible. And there's somebody out there, I told you I would hit that lottery, I'm rich. Again, I didn't say possible, can't happen. But that's not where I would be investing most of my money. My portfolio has to be more on probables and less on possibles. Because I'm more than likely going to lose every dime that I put over there in a possible. But why would I put something over there in a possible? It's because it's what I can afford to lose. And you can't be mad if the little bit you put over there in possible hits. You can't be saying, oh man, I knew it was going to hit. I should have put everything in there. I should have just dumped everything in there. Monday morning quarterback, after the fact. No. You were fortunate enough to get that possible to turn into manifestation. But your probable is what's going to sustain you from now into the future. Warren Buffett, I heard him say, rule number 1, don't lose any money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. And he's standing in so much wealth, and that blows over so many people's heads. He's telling you, not specifically, but generally, don't lose any money. So put your money into something, put the majority of your money into something that you either can't lose or as close as possible can't lose. Because your poor thinking, your impoverished thinking is like, okay, I'm working a regular job, I'm an average person, but every dollar that I can afford, I'm going to send it over there to play the lottery. And your thought process is, now once I hit that big lottery, 300 million, 400 million, 500 million, sometimes it goes up to a billion. Once I hit that lottery, I'm home free. You can't even say that, because look at all of the lottery winners and how many of them go bankrupt. You catching a lick doesn't mean you done made it. If you catch a lick, it's your opportunity to be even more conservative aggressively. I say this story all the time. I'm going to be very general about it. Let's say you have a job and you make $50,000 a year. Year over year, $50,000 a year. That's about the average. That's not even the average. Let's just say because the average is about 42, 43 for us. But let's just say you made $50,000 a year, and every Friday you get paid. You go and you take $50 and you buy lottery tickets, scratchers, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be, and boom, you hit for $500,000. That is your opportunity from a possibility to increase your probabilities. What do I mean by that? You get $500,000. The ignoramus thing is to go out there and buy a whole bunch of trinkets, things that are liabilities and not assets, cars, rims, jewelry, clothes, shoes, things of that nature, dinners, and all that other stuff like that you couldn't do before. And then what's going to happen is you're going to run out of that $500,000 and you're going to be right back at square one. You think the odds of hitting $500,000 again is in your favor? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, it goes down even more in probability. In possibility. But the same scenario, that person wins $500,000, maybe, and this is just simple thinking, okay? That person lives in an apartment and they pay rent. The housing market is not a buyer's market right now. It's a seller's market. So that person say, you know what? I'm going to take the next 2 to 3 years and I'm going to put this money away for my rent just in case. I'm going to keep working. All right. So let's just say their rent is $2,000 a month. Okay, 2,000 times 12, that's 24, 48. So they put aside $72,000. After the $72,000, they say, hey, listen, I want to go ahead and start my barbershop. So they take about 30, 40, 50 grand, and then the infrastructure and all of the intricacies that it takes to start a barber shop, they do that, and then they give it a serious, realistic time frame for it to work. And let's just say it takes them a couple of years before they receive profit. That money would have bought them time, but once they start receiving profit, now they're making and raking in money hand over fist because they stuck to it. Let's say the third thing is, hey, look, I'm going to take a set amount of money and I'm going to put it in a brokerage account. And then they start taking loans out against that. And they use it for opportunities such as maybe real estate or other business ventures. Maybe they want to do something online and they can afford to put the marketing together because of the money and be able to bring in a predictable amount of income and then start recycling portions of their profit back into their business or something like that, right? Or let's just say they wrote a book and they got a publishing company to do the marketing for them or something like that. And then it's recyclable. So once it's self-sufficient, they done created several businesses over here that's generating them money without their sweat equity. They got they got their books that's generating them equity, creating opportunities for speaking engagements, being able to do different types of things and different types of exposures that spills over to the other parts of their business. They put themselves in a situation where they never have to do the $50,000 a year thing. Yeah, they're working, but they're working on a higher level. See, when you go and you cash a paycheck for $1,000, that's one thing. When you go and cash a paycheck for $10,000, it's going to feel different. When you go and cash a paycheck for $100,000, it's going to feel even more different in a positive way. But you didn't have the fortuitiveness, the stick-to-itiveness, and the fortuitous thoughts to be able to do the things that you're supposed to do to set yourself up to have an easier time making money. Because I heard Magic Johnson say this one time before. He said it takes the same amount of effort and time to make $100 million that it does to make $1 million. But if you have an impoverished mindset, you're going to go and you're going to lend yourself to the liabilities instead of the assets. You almost have to know exactly and have a plan of what to do when you're going to hit a lick, because time and chance comes to everyone. When is yours coming? I don't know, but you always need to make sure that you're being prepared for this. And I know it's been almost 10 minutes to an hour and I want to wrap it up or whatever the case may be here. But do you understand what I'm saying there? Your time is coming. Time and chance. Go read it if you're a biblical reader. Go read Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. Time and chance is going to come to everyone. The righteous and the unrighteous. Even the babies and fools are blessed. See, y'all brag about blessings, but blessings are for everybody. It's for the believers and the non-believers. It's for the old and it's for the young. It's for the woman, it's for the man. But what are you going to do when the blessing comes? Are you going to be that of a multiplier, or are you going to be that of a subtractor or a divider? And you may not be where you want to be right now. That's okay. Keep the perspective of my time is coming. Believe that. And what am I going to do when it comes? Well, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready. You see college football, you see so many people transferring because they want to have a chance to play. And a lot of the statistics are coming back and it's saying transfer is not a good idea. The best thing to do is to try to wait it out. Put yourself in a position. You can see who's ahead of you. Do what they're doing and do more. Even though you shouldn't base it on that. You should be trying to peak out and max out what you do. And if the opportunity doesn't come, you're still going to be blessed for it at some point at some time. Because if you're on a team and you're doing your work and you don't complain and you just do everything you're supposed to do, whatever the case may be, and you're at a school like The Ohio State University where the alumni connection is ridiculous, all that coach has to say is, you know what, he didn't play much on the team. He played some special teams, this, that, and the other. But my gosh, if I could get everybody to work as consistently and as hard as he does. He works smart and he works hard. He might not have been able to make the field because it was some guys in front of him. But you know what? I'm confident that if something happened, we had a lot of injuries or whatever the case may be, and I put him in there, he might not have performed like the starters, but he would have been very, very serviceable. And let me tell you something about being serviceable. If you're serviceable, if your reputation is only serviceable, that is so valuable for so many people, there'll be a need for you. And you might not go out there and make $40-50 million a year, or whatever the case may be. But what if just being serviceable made you $5-7 million a year? You think you could eat off of that? You don't have to be better than the best. You just have to be the best version of yourself. But you can't do that until you start at the core. Do the shadow work. Find out who you are. Find out what you are. Find out where you are, when you are, why you are, and how you are. And if you can solve that with definitiveness on each category, you're on your way. Your purpose is it's almost going to reveal itself like it fell in your lap. You cannot afford to not know what your purpose is. Nothing will fulfill you. Chasing and happiness is fleeting as it is. So the dumb idea to think that you're going to find happiness in your life, pursue happiness, catch happiness, hold on to happiness, and have happiness for happily ever after, that is a Disney fairy tale. Happiness is not going to be sustainable no matter what you do. But you know what is sustainable? The joy and the peace of being in alignment with your purpose. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me tonight or whenever you watch this video. Again, please like, share, comment, follow, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload a video. All right? Thanks for taking the time out with me. I appreciate you. I love you. Go and be an asset. Drop all of your liability ways and go and be an asset and waste no more time. Someone needs you to be in position so that they can get in position to help somebody else. We're all ministers. Respect everybody, whatever they choose to believe. If people want to believe, let them choose to believe. If they are assets, that's what I want. That's what you want. That's what we want. Whether they're Christian, they're Muslim, they're Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, give everybody respect, man. Let everybody. Don't try to convince somebody to switch from this to this. It's working for them. Let it work for them. Everything's going to be sorted out. Don't worry about that. And for goodness sake, don't threaten people with this notion of heaven and hell, because at best it's the state of mind. It's a lot bigger than that. And a lot of these documents that we're holding on to right here, factually, is not going to be the actual original documents. But you got to do your own research. This isn't even the time to try to wake anybody up. I'm only talking to the people that are awake. I'm not interested in talking to the people that are asleep. If they sleep, just let them stay asleep. And then they won't hear or feel the earthquakes, or they won't hear or feel the hurricanes, or the gun blaze and the fire, whatever the case may be. Rest his soul. Remember the movie about Fred Hampton and how he passed away? Now, I don't know if exactly that's how he passed away, but let's just go based on the images of that movie. He was asleep when he got killed. And some people are going to have to die in their sleep because they won't wake up. And I know you want certain people to wake up because you love them and you care for them. But if somebody's not interested in waking up, you got to keep moving, man. Time is growing nigh. The awake need to do what they're supposed to do. Remember, the earth is like a plate, and the good people of the earth is like salt. And you don't need a whole lot of salt to season the whole earth. So we don't need everyone to be good. We just need as many people as we can to be good fractionally, and we can season this earth and give it the flavor that it was designed to have.